So we've talked quite a bit about sort of what we need from a genetic perspective, and we've talked a lot about IMF. I've termed it an added value trait up there. So we need to be able to identify traits that could be associated with added value. That's point number one. So we need to be able to do that from a genetic perspective. We also need to know in the traits of value whether they can be improved through breeding programs. We can improve them through breeding programs or not. So in other words, is it heritable or not? We've certainly worked that one out. Tricia, what is our heritability? You can repeat that for everybody. 0.68, so that's 68% controlled by genes. It's really high. What that means is that we can turn this around, we can get it into breeding programs and we can make really quick progress on it. So that's really cool, because if it was lowly heritable, I'd be saying, oh, this could be really challenging. So the other things that we need to be thinking about is, does it have any detrimental impact on other production traits? And if it does, how do we manage that? Progeny testing is the key here. So we can use a progeny test to identify animals, as Annie alluded to, that are real benders. And that's what we need to find. We need to find animals that can deliver right way and form for all of these traits. The other thing is that we need to be able to measure this cost effectively online. I'm sure Craig will, where is Craig? Hiding in the middle there. I think we're moving in the right direction, but we have to be able to measure this cost effectively online. And we need to be able to do that to get adequate numbers of progeny through, and we need to be testing a wide array of sires. This is a work in progress, but this program fundamentally is assisting in that. So, the support of this project really to make change in the future is crucial. Once again, I've been through the optimisation, but if you don't get it right, you can end up in hot water. I think everybody understands that about genetics. So it's crucial for us to get an understanding about how we put the jigsaw puzzle together in the right way and form. So if we move around, and I just want to move around this sort of cycle, talk about the lamb carcass. We absolutely have to have the ability or the means to measure. It has to be at chain speed, has to be done in a robust manner. And it absolutely has to be cost effective, because it's highly costly us doing what we're doing right now, trying to get an understanding about what we need to do and how we need to incorporate it. We don't want to continue that forever. The other thing is it needs to be not only efficient but timely, the way it feeds back to you guys. So if we don't have timely flow of information, it can be difficult for you guys to make decisions within your operations to actually change things that could influence that. So there's lots of different bits and pieces. The last one is we absolutely need to understand what specifications around the added value trait are that you're trying to aim for. If you don't have that, you don't know what you're doing. So it's a little bit like a carcass weight spec. We would have to have some sort of understanding about the range that was acceptable and what we were trying to do. So that's from the lamb perspective. So that's what you guys need to be doing as commercial farmers. You need to be having a good think about who your genetic provider is, but then you actually need to be coming down here and saying, right, what do I need to supply into the processor, and what specification does it have, and what is in my control to do that? Because as I'll allude to at the end, it's a collective journey. This is not about an individualistic, it's a biological system. There is no way that we can make change in this industry without doing it collectively. So moving forward, so if we're processing a differentiated product, we need direction. So this is what this progeny test provides on the genetics that are specific and that can do what we want them to do for the particular market traits that we're interested in. We probably need traceability through the entire supply chain. I think that will come eventually. It is costly, and I understand that. But it's something that I think that people who are purchasing a differentiated product will be looking for in the future. Certainly the experience that I'm having to date, that's what they're looking for. The other thing is that, cart before horse, but there needs to be reward so that we see behavioural change. But the one thing that I would say is, there has to be a leap of faith that we're heading off in the right direction. So the breeder has to start making those decisions now, because unless we incorporate that into their own breeding program and get that in the next 3 to 4 years, yeah, where do you start? So there has to be a leap of faith by all parties concerned in the supply chain, and I just can't stress that enough. So whilst we want to be rewarded, actually getting a subset of market product into the market that is differentiated is key. And if we don't do that, you can't understand the value and you can't understand whether the customer truly will desire the product that you're producing. So now is when I hand over to Chook, because this wasn't a solo journey. So he's going to talk to you about what, as commercial farmers, he believes that you should be thinking about and what you should be more conscious about in regards to the decisions that you make within your farming operation. He's going to reference the information that we've seen that BLG have produced around the ramps. And he will try and give you some insight as to what he's doing so that you can take that home. Where you go, Chooky?
Thanks, Amy. That's a whole lot of stuff I didn't know I was doing.
I'm explaining to them, not you.
Thanks, Amy. We were meant to do this presentation together, but to be fair, Amy did the whole thing last night, so thanks to her. I just jotted down some ideas to try and bring what we're hearing today back down to a commercial farmer level and what we need to be understanding and what we need to be doing. So the messages I'm hearing, I just jotted down some bullet points. So all of us in the supply chain, and that's from commercial farmers right through to the consumer, we need to understand the market, and that's why that market was put in the centre of that diagram, because at the moment, Pat's absolutely right, the market sits outside and the information flow is not clear and not getting back to us. So I would stress that you start asking questions from your meat processor and exporter and try and understand that better. The other thing I'm quite excited about is this new technology, and you can only manage what you can measure, and the information that we can gain from measuring this stuff objectively could actually mean quite a big change in this industry for eating quality characteristics. And that's, to me, that's quite exciting, because all of a sudden we get into a product differentiation mode, and then it's harder for other countries and other companies to compete. This is not new, and Jim alluded to it earlier. I mean, Australia's been onto this stuff for a while. We're seeing it now even in New Zealand in the beef industry. There is significant premiums already out there for marbled beef, and there's no reason why that can't transform into sheep meat. So we've got to get on this journey and get on it quickly and take advantage of it. And the focus, we need to change the focus from production back to production and market focus. Because if we're going to get on this bandwagon of production, we're going to lose, because we're not the lowest cost producer in the world. We never will be. So we've got to have a differentiated product, and to do that, you've got to be able to measure it and set it aside for any other competition. I had an interesting conversation with Annie earlier. My view is the breeding indexes could be better, and in the future, I actually think breeding indexes will be targeted towards specific markets. And for example, if there is a market, and I asked the question of Annie earlier, that's paying more per kilo for a specific trait, then those breeding indexes get thrown on their head, and the one that's at the bottom there might actually end up at the top. So be very clear as a commercial farmer how these breeding indexes work and how you're reading them and how you're making your ram buying decisions with them. I applaud B+LNZ genetics for simplifying it, but I think as commercial farmers it's your responsibility to fully understand those breeding indexes and make some decisions with those in mind. And as you all know, breeding's a long-term game, it's not a short-term game, and Richard Lee's absolutely right. It's 10 years down the track you've got to be thinking, not next year. So those are sort of some of the messages I've taken out of today and the last couple of years, and that's one of the reasons we're involved here, is because we're rubbing shoulders with leaders in the industry and we're learning a lot, and there's no reason why any of you in this room can't do the same.
Thank you, Chooky. Right, so Max asked me to just make sure that you had some key take-home messages out of this. So fundamentally, we have to have the means to measure on a new trait. If we don't, it makes it very, very difficult to reward, and that virtuous cycle just doesn't continue. We can improve IMF by breeding, so it's a real possibility that we can make a difference and get that through into the marketplace for better enjoyment through a more positive eating experience. And IMF growth and meat must absolutely be optimised, and the way to do that is progeny testing. So, as commercial farmers, I really encourage you to talk to your breeder about what they're doing. I mean, the breeders that have got rams in here, I applaud you, because you are taking that leap of faith and doing something different. So commercial farmers, my take-home message to you would be, please go and have a conversation with your breeder and ask them what they're doing, particularly around the sort of added value area. This is open to everybody, this platform, and the more uptake that we get, the better understanding that we get of all the different breeds and the variation that sits out there. And I've already mentioned it, but all partners in the supply chain have to be responsible for making change within the realms of their own business to make a difference for all. And I really can't stress that enough. We've done things in this industry very much as individuals, and I think it needs to change. And so success will be based on a collective approach rather than an individualistic one, and that's another key message that I want you to take home.